let's head out to Seattle and bring in a Hall of Fame quarterback to talk about some interesting quarterbacks. Warren Moon, welcome to Speak for Yourself from the crib. There's Warren as a baby, bald head and all. All right, let's get right to it. Warren, Marcellus and I have been having like a 2-week, 3-week debate about Cam Newton's social media posts. Cam shirtless, showing off his body, showing off all of his workouts. I contend no one has any questions about whether Cam Newton's in shape and how great his body is. The questions are about his mindset. Any concerns? Do you have a problem with Cam Newton's social media approach this offseason?
Yeah, I think it's a little much, but that's Cam. That's his personality. We all know Cam likes, to dress flamboyantly. He has a lot of swag. He has all the different hats and suits, and he's got the hairdo going now. And I think right now he's trying to convince teams that he's healthy, but I think he's going a little bit too far with it. Most teams are just concerned about his foot injury and his shoulder injury. They're not concerned whether his abs look good or if he's working out, because we know he has one of the best physiques in the league for a quarterback. But that's one of the concerns I think that teams have about Cam is the personality that comes along with him if you want to sign him as your leader to your football team. Do you want your leader to be all of what Cam Newton is? He's a tremendous football player. He's shown that since he's been in the league, but he has been hurt the last couple of years, and he does bring a big-time personality to wherever he comes. So there's only so many jobs. There's only so many jobs available, and he doesn't have that many opportunities.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about Cam ever being in shape. But right now, this offseason, there's certainly been concern about, is he healthy? So this is a Cam Newton who's showing everyone, maybe to an excessive degree, that I am healthy. If I'm putting in this amount of work, which seems like it's in excess, guess what? I must be healthy to put in that amount of work. So I'm looking at Cam, who's just trying to answer all the questions out there. And in lieu of physically being in a facility and getting passed by a team doctor, he's going to remove all doubt that with this athletic base and with this athletic talent, I want you to project forward that Cam Newton will be on your roster as a healthy quarterback. And his ego is healthy because every quarterback has an ego. It's just the fact that he has to go out there on a mission to prove that he's capable of being the old Cam Newton, even if he has to do that in excess.
Yeah.
All right, let's stick right here with Cam Newton. Let's stick right here with Cam Newton. Warren, you had some interesting comments. You think Cam Newton is a great fit in Jacksonville. Why?
First of all, they don't have a legitimate starter there. Gardner Minshew, who's their starter right now, he was benched during the season last year and then brought back in. So they don't have a guy that's really got a grab of that job firmly. So I think it's a good situation for Cam. Leonard Fournette, their running back at Jacksonville, has come out and said he'd like to have Cam on his team, which is important when leaders on your team are starting to talk about you maybe being their quarterback. So I think it would be a good fit for Cam to come into Jacksonville. There is a starting opportunity there available. At least he can compete for it. And I think he would fit well with what they're trying to build there in Jacksonville, especially with Cam having a few more years left in his career. He's only 30, 31 years old, so he's got a lot of time left, even though he has a lot of wear and tear on his body. And I think if they could get him in there and sit him down and find out a little bit more about his personality and how he would fit in, Jacksonville could be a good fit.
Look, let's set the record straight right here. Cam Newton is a good fit anywhere the quarterback is worse than Cam Newton. And that's a lot of places. And that includes Jacksonville. We're getting into this matchmaking a little bit like Cam Newton is standard issue. This is a former MVP that was only sidetracked, derailed because of injury. Last time seen healthy on a football field 2 years ago, Cam Newton was in MVP form. That's why he's doing all these videos to show you that I can get back to that form because I'm healthy. So, yeah, he's a great fit in Jacksonville. The only issue, the only caveat is they have Minshew mania down there. And that's something for a latter round draft choice who comes in and really takes advantage of his situation. Nick Foles got all that money, and he actually becomes the guy that they want to bet on going forward. If you're looking at it from a business perspective, having a rookie on a second-year player on a rookie deal named Minshew Mania may be a little more attractive than a highly priced Cam Newton who's going to come down there and may not be the best fit.
Well, it depends on how much.
Warren, my pushback would be.
Go ahead.
Warren, my pushback would be you have Minshew on a very affordable contract, and this draft is kind of quarterback deep. Maybe in the second round you can get the Love kid or someone else you could draft in Jacksonville rather than going with Cam Newton. Because to me, if I'm Cam Newton, I want no parts of Jacksonville. That seems to be a place where a quarterback would go to die rather than flourish.
You know, I don't know. Cam Newton could be the guy who turns the whole situation around there in Jacksonville. They were close a couple of years ago going to the AFC Championship game, and then things went downhill over the last couple of years. They've gotten rid of a lot of their high-priced talent there, so their salary cap should be in relatively good shape. And I think at this point in Cam's career, you don't have to bring him in some type of mega deal. You bring him in on some type of a prove-it-to-me type of deal that you're healthy and that you can play, and then later on down the road, maybe sign an extension if he plays up to speed. But he could be the guy that turns the whole Jacksonville situation around just because of how dynamic he is as a player.
All right, let's move to Dallas and Dak Prescott, who's had a very interesting offseason. The guy's reputation has been as one of, just pure leader, very reliable, you can count on. And I don't think he's done anything to really besmirch that reputation. But the workouts with Dez Bryant publicly and not socially distancing, and now you've had a little problem with this alleged dinner party. Was it less than 10 people? Was it more than 30 people? Again, Dak still has a great reputation as a leader, but he hasn't gotten the contract he's wanted. Some of this behavior seems like it's more Ezekiel Elliott than Dak Prescott. Warren, any concerns about how Dak Prescott been handling his offseason?
Yeah, those two instances you talked about, the taking the pictures with the guys he's working out with, not practicing social distancing there, and then the party. Who knows how many people were actually there? What was it, 30 people there? Those aren't good looks for right now with all this stuff with the COVID-19 going on, and also just the focus that's put on social distancing. And Dak being a leader in that community, this isn't a good look for him as a leader in the community, nor as a leader for the football team. And it's just one other thing that Jerry Jones can use against him in contract negotiations as they try and get this contract done. Dak has done everything right over the first 4 years of his career, on and off the field. And it's too bad that these two little things are a black eye right now. But I think overall this deal needs to go ahead and get done. And I think deals get done with deadlines. He has a deadline coming up now at July 15th. Hopefully this thing will get done before that deadline or right up to the deadline. We saw Russell Wilson a few years ago he put together a deadline that said, if we're not signed by now, I'm not going to sign here anymore. Or you saw Tom Brady not be able to get an extension after he won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So quarterbacks deals are difficult sometimes. You're dealing with a lot of money, with a lot of years, a lot of guaranteed money. So they're a little bit more difficult than other positions. Dak's has been a little bit more difficult than most, but hopefully it gets done here soon.
Yeah, I have no problem with what Dak is doing right now. Look, as you said, Warren, he's been perfect for 4 years, and that didn't get him anything. So if the choir boy can't get the check, then the gangster should. And I think that he's just going to flip it a little bit, put a little edge, a little sword out there, and see how that works out, man. How many times we all been stuck in the friend zone trying to be the good guy, if you know what I'm talking about. And that's where Dak found himself, stuck in the friend zone. He's like, hell no, do y'all know who I am? Dak Prescott. So by hook or crook, I'm going to get paid. And let's not act like they don't want him and they don't want to pay him. He's already turned down $33 million per year. So that means they're in love with him as well, but not to the standard that he desires. So just another step or two, and they're going to have a deal. But I like Dak. showing him a little edge this offseason.
Warren, before we move on, I want to tap into some expertise that I'm not sure everyone knows you have, but you had the reputation of throwing the best Pro Bowl parties in Hawaii. And so I want you to look at that spread you saw at Dak Prescott's house. Is that a spread for less than 10 people or more than 10 people?
That's cold.
If he had 10 Jason Whitlocks, that was about the right. But that was definitely for more than 10 people. And, there was probably more than 10 people there. Whether there was 30 people there, I don't know. But, yeah, it wasn't a good look all the way around. There shouldn't have been any video cameras allowed in that party anyway. I don't know what was going on there.
All right, let's move on to Jameis Winston, our last quarterback to discuss here. Jameis out of work, looking for a job, let go by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course, in favor of Tom Brady. Jameis had an interesting social media post showing himself shirtless and running on the track, looking like he's in great shape. But Jameis has problems, I think, with his decision-making. And, Warren, do you think Jameis Winston, can he be fixed? Does he have upside left as a franchise quarterback in the NFL?
Jason, I really think he can. If you look at the history of his first 4 or 5 years, he hasn't been a big interception thrower. He had, I think, 18 was the most he ever had up until this season. Other than that, he had like 12, 11, 14 right in there. And he throws the ball a lot, and he throws a lot of balls down the football field. It came out this offseason that he had LASIK surgery, that he had a vision problem. That might be part of the problem that would make him, a little bit more accurate a passer. The type of throws that he throws down the football field, he threw the ball more than anybody in the league this past year, almost 40 times a game. That's too many times. And then the types of throws that you're throwing, the longer the ball is in the air, the more bad things can happen, whether it's a ball gets tipped, receiver runs the wrong route. So there's a lot of things that go into interceptions, but he definitely has to make better decisions. I think he'd be the first one to know that. And I think this guy can be fixed because he's been too productive in the league since he's been there. He's had 2 other 4,000-yard seasons, a 5,000-yard season this past year. So he can play the game. He just has to make some adjustments in his game to become a more efficient passer.
I just dismiss this whole notion that he can be fixed, like that's something that's really broken with him. He is who he is, who's a very good quarterback in this league, and people think that he could be excellent, but this whole something's broken with him. How about just analyzing and evaluating him as he is? Because if you want to take away someone's worst attributes and say, now let's see who he is. Oh, let's make Drew Brees taller. Let's make Tom Brady faster. Like, that's not how the game is played. You got to take it all into consideration. And 35 giveaways last year, 112 points scored off of turnovers last year. Obviously, it was an anomaly, but it still told a story about Jameis Winston's a little careless with the football. So I just think he's an Andy Dalton-level quarterback who probably has another tier in him. But he's already been in the league 5 years. Like, let's not keep acting like there's more to his game than not. It is a good game. It's a very good game. But what's broken about Jameis Winston? He is who he is.
Warren, before we let you go, you've said Jacksonville might be a fix or a good spot for Cam Newton. You think Jameis Winston can be fixed. What might be a good location? What's a good place for him to land?
Man, there's just not a lot of opportunities left. And Jacksonville could be a location for him, which is right up the road from Tampa, where he wouldn't have to go far. He's known in that state because he went to Florida State, so he'd have a following that goes there with him. But there's just not a lot of openings at starting quarterback in this league. So if he was going to take a backup job and maybe just try and learn from a veteran for a year, somebody that's maybe going to retire like a Drew Brees or somebody like that pretty soon, that might be a good opportunity for him. But I would like to see him be a starter because, as Marcellus talked about, I don't think he's broken. He did have a bad year turning the football over this past year, but it's not something that has been a huge problem since he's been in the league, and he has been more productive than he has been a detriment.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show
And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak for Yourself or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.